What does it take to win this hackathon? What are the key steps in order to present your project very well? What kind of information is needed to be shown in order to stand out among the rest? Here are 8 tips on how to build up your solution. The NASA's International Space Apps Challenge is a hackathon where you need to put information about your project in a website. The so-called project page is very important because it holds key information about the project you are presenting. This is where people look to details about your work, the data and resources you used, and the methodology on how your solution works. Number 1, read the challenge. The first thing you need to do is to read the challenge. Challenge statements are the things that you need to do during the hackathon. Make sure that you pick the right challenge which is appropriate to the task you're doing. The background describes the context of the challenge for you to understand it very well. I would highly suggest reading the challenge statements a number of times. Read the background and discuss it among your teammates. Ask them on how they understood it and share what you understand too. Number 2, use data and resources. NASA and partner agencies typically share their data, tools, and resources for you to solve these challenges. Relevant data and resources are provided so that you won't be confused on what to use during the hackathon. These resources are there for a reason because they're very helpful in building up your project. Each resource has a documentation attached to it so that developers like you will know how to access and use them. Read them carefully so that you know the syntax and parameters on how to access those data. Even though that the use of data coming from NASA and partner agencies are required, you're not just limited to the data provided to you. In fact, there are some winners who use their data beyond what is provided to them. Number 3, communicate with your teammates. You're not joining Space Apps alone, right? There are people along the way with you to help develop your project and solution. These are your teammates. Whether they are childhood friends or you've just met during the hackathon, these are the very people who will be with you to develop your work. Choose the most convenient platform where you can communicate with each other very well. Have a constant communication with one another because you will work together on this. Use collaborative tools to build up your ideas and projects together. I would suggest communicating with your teammates using video and voice calls during the hackathon period so that you can discuss among yourselves about the most important stuff that needs attention to be addressed and to entertain the most pressing concerns. Always be open and welcome new ideas while being expressive about yours too. Just make sure that you talk and discuss with your teammates so that you can avoid any misunderstandings. These kinds of disagreements would lead into a very bad output. So make sure that you know how to listen and entertain other ideas and thoughts. Always remember that you and your teammates come from different backgrounds and cultures. Based on the skill sets your team has, delegate roles and responsibilities among your teammates. Number 4, cite references. When we use data and resources, it is always the result of the work of somebody else. It is important to give recognition of their work by citing references so that we could come back to their work if there's a need for more information. Plagiarism or representing others' work and ideas as your own is unethical and frowned upon. Having a reference list is useful in keeping track of all the resources and data you use. You might know you could use the same reference in the future. Number 5, explain how you address the challenge. When picking up a challenge, NASA and partner agencies expect that you will address them. So, as you explain on how you address the challenge you chose, narrate how your work addressed each aspect of the challenge. Build that connection. There are numerous angles of the story to choose from. Start with the background until you end up in a narrative on why you are creating this type of solution which addresses the challenge you have chosen. There's always story behind on why you developed that project. Tell it here so that NASA and partner agencies would understand on how your solution fits into the challenges. Number 6, narrate how you develop your project. How did you develop that project? What are the tools, software, programs, datasets, and frameworks you used in making that project? Why are they relevant and chosen among the rest? What makes them better in fitting to be used in the development of your work? These points are very important so that NASA and partner agencies would have a better understanding on how you arrive in making that kind of project. Tell us a story on how you build it with the learnings and skills you have. Number 7, discuss how your project works. So basically, how does your project really work? What are the functionalities of the system you're doing? How do you describe the methodology or framework on how your solution function? What does it do? How do they work? These are the things you need to consider when developing your work, because users need to be informed on what kind of system are they expecting from you. How do they use your app or program? What are the steps they need to do in order to arrive at that outcome? Show them a demo of your app or by creating a video or screenshots. Create a wireframe or flowchart to illustrate on how to navigate into your program. This is very helpful because you're collaborating with your teammates in order to arrive in a common understanding on how your project works. When doing screenshots, I advise doing it beyond the title page and login screen. Show how your program works by revealing key functionalities. Show them how they really work by providing illustrations, videos, or other media. Enumerate step-by-step processes to get to that outcome. And do not forget to provide source codes and media assets. Number 8, peer review. Before hitting that submit button, make sure you and your group mates proofread your work. Read the project thoroughly and be mindful of any errors and mistakes along the way, whether it is grammar, spelling, or anything else. Review everything, and if you're the one assigned to write something about your work, don't hesitate to ask your group mates to read your material. Check out the task done by your teammates to see if there are still problems along the way. Do not forget to communicate with your own team before finalizing the project. That's it. Always remember that NASA and partner agencies JAXA, CNES, CSA, and ESA will review your work. So make sure that your project page is complete and without any error. Don't forget all the information needed, like references, diagrams, videos, demos, illustrations, source codes, and media assets, which shall be needed to look into the details of your project. All of your teammates should be registered in the project page. And don't forget to share your experience in joining Space Apps using the hashtag SpaceApps. This is Michael Lance from the Philippines, and we are Space Apps. See you soon!